I fortunately never went into debt. That's because I started knocking doors at 25. It's a whole different deal. Whereas, building a true company like that, you have to take some upfront hits. We're growing so fast right now, we're taking some hits.
You have to invest in yourself.
Nobody understands like that. Sometimes you have to do that to build something great.
You have to.
Yeah. Hey, welcome back to Nashville, Tennessee, the Level 10 podcast studio. I have Jason Mickool here, and he is an absolute legend. Empire builder, done a lot of things in the financial service space, and just made a lot of impact in the industry, and I can't wait to dig into this one with you. All right, Jason Mickool in the house.
Yeah.
Mr. Cool, Mr. Mickool.
Mr. Mickool.
Yeah.
Never, I get that.
Yeah.
Cool last name, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. Well, I'm super pumped for you to be here. I'm so appreciative of you being here. I know you're a busy man, and I'll get into the story of how we met later on, which I think is super unique.
Great story.
But again, just thank you for being here in Nashville. You come to Nashville quite a bit, don't you?
Tried to.
Yeah.
I tried to.
Don't you have an office in Nashville?
I do, yeah. Somewhere around here.
Yeah.
Not that far. We got like 38 people in that office.
Yeah.
It's big. I've never been to it, weirdly enough.
Are you going to go to it this trip? No, you're going to keep it running?
I'm going to keep it. I don't want them to think I actually have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
I didn't run it.
Yeah, well, Jason, you and your wife are here.
Yes.
Home base is Clearwater, Florida.
Yes, sir.
Yep, I spent some time there with you. Beautiful, beautiful location. And big financial services industry. That's kind of been what your career is built on, right?
Correct, pretty much.
Well, awesome. We're going to get to all of that stuff, which our viewers love the business part. But I want to, as we all know, unpack it. All right. I want to know what made you you, and it's just like that, only different. So what made you just like everybody else, but different, right?
Yeah, I wish I had a magic answer for you on that. I don't know if I'm that unique or different than anybody else. Other than hard work and persistence, I think, like a lot of people do, are successful. Upbringing, my dad was a pastor. So he was in boat sales. So my grandfather started a boat business, entrepreneur.
And where did you grow up? What area of the country?
It's called it's Dartmouth, New Bedford, Massachusetts.
Okay.
So it's south coast of Boston. So if you think of like the Cape, it's down in the armpit.
I was just in Rhode Island and Boston over the weekend. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we're in Rhode Island.
Providence. Yeah. Providence.
So Providence is about 30 minutes from my hometown.
Okay.
So that's basically where I grew up. My grandfather started a boat business, came over, immigrant from Lebanon, was very successful with it. 1980 comes.
Selling boats or what kind of boat
selling
business?
Boats and trailers. So RVs and boats. He dies in 1976. My father takes over the business. 1980 happens. The gas crisis comes. You couldn't get gas for boats. My dad loses the business. So
in the 1980s?
1981, he lost his business. And at that point in time, there wasn't a lot of jobs, a lot of recession. Right?
Yeah.
He joined the cloth, was pastor, and he did that for a number of years. And then it's not a living. You can't really make a living. It's about more purpose.
Yeah.
So then he would sell boats. So growing up, I got to participate in entrepreneurship. My grandfather, my father, the most beautiful human in the whole entire planet, goes and sells boats. As a kid, I grew up painting the bottoms of boats, working hard.
So you were in the boat business as a kid?
The boat business as a kid.
And how young were you working in the business?
My grandfather instilled, if you want a quarter to go play pinball, you sweep the floor and I'll give you a quarter.
Yeah.
And so
that was very early on.
Very early on. So there was no money without labor.
Right.
That was free labor. So I painted the bottoms of boats when I was a kid. So I got paid per foot. I would scrape the barnacles off and I'd paint them while my dad was selling boats.
Yeah.
And I'd say, Dad, can I sell boats? Dad, can I sell boats? Let me sell boats. He's like, you're too young to sell a boat. Nobody's going to buy a boat from a 15-year-old kid. Well, fast forward, now I'm 18. He's selling boats. I know the owner of the boatyard. I said, can I sell boats? Can I sell boats?
Yeah.
And he says no. Get into college, drop out of college. And I have a job, entry-level job at something called the Shareholder Services Group, which is a transfer agency and financial services. And I say to the guy, I said, hey, can I sell boats? And he goes, well, we want to open the boatyard on Sunday. We don't have, so if you want to work Sundays, you can sell boats.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm in, I'll sell some boats. So I got into sales, selling boats, did pretty well.
At a marina? Were you at a marina selling them?
It was more of a boatyard.
Okay.
So it wasn't on the water. But people would come in and I knew boats.
Yeah.
And I would hustle to try to sell them. And then we would do boatyard. So then I had a 40-hour a week job. And then on weekends I would sell boats. And then they would have boat shows. So then I'd work 40 hours and then I would take 3 days off. And I started to really accelerate in terms of selling boats. So I would,
And what age is this?
It's probably 22 years old, something like that. I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. My dad didn't want me to do that the rest of my life. I was working in a transfer agency, and I used to do new account processing and what they called special services for financial advisors. So there was a gentleman, he used to come visit, and I thought, wow, this guy is cool. He dressed sharp, BMW. And I was like, what do you do? And he's like, I help clients invest their money, and I love what I do, and they're like family to me. And I said, well, how much money do you make? And he goes, a lot.
Yeah.
But that's not what it's all about. And I said, well, how can I do that? He was like, you don't have a college degree. I don't know if you can get into this type of business at the time. And so I really just went out of my way to service this dude. If he called and needed something, I just did it.
Yeah.
And he was like, it's really sales. It's really sales. So at one point I said, well, how do I really want to do this. I'm going to do this one way or the other. Would you be willing to help me? And he said, look, you want to, I had an interview. He says, move to New York, right? And you can be my assistant and you can go do this for 5 years behind the desk. Well, then we'll get you your series licenses. And at the time, I had my 40-hour a week job. I had my boat sales hustling business. I would bartend sometimes here and there.
And what was your 40-hour a week job at that time?
That was at the shareholder service.
Okay, gotcha.
So I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to move to New York. And because at that time, I'm making 45, 50 grand a year or something.
Yeah.
So I said, but do you have any advice for me? And he goes, my college roommate is a guy by the name of Phil Simonides. He works for a company called IDS up in Boston. Let me give you his number. Call him up. They may give you a shot. I don't know, but at least you get an opportunity. So funny story. I call Phil. He's a dear friend of mine today. I go through the interview process, and in like the boiler room, right? You got to go through your licensing classes and all this other type of stuff. I go through the interview process. They say, come to sponsorship class. It's once a week. I start going to the sponsorship class for about 4 or 5 weeks, and they're going around the room, and they say, when's your window? So in the securities business, you get a window to take the exam.
Yep.
Right? You open the window. And I go, I don't know what you're talking about. The guy goes, see me after class. Shit. So I come after class and he says, you don't know anything about a window? And I'm like, I have no idea. They just told me to come to the sponsor class. I've been driving from Providence to here. So he said, let me look into it. The next week I go, and brings me in his office. He says, I hate to tell you, but you didn't get the job. I said, what do you mean I didn't get the job? He goes, we sent you a rejection letter. I don't know how you ended up getting into the process, but we didn't accept you into the position. And I said, well, kid, I had already told my family and friends and everybody that I was going to go be a successful financial advisor. And I'm like, this is not appropriate. I'm going to sue you, like all this bullshit stuff. So he comes to me the next week and he says, look, Jason, if you're so inclined, the job, you can have it. But I just want you to know you're not going to make it, right? You look like you're 17. You don't really have a college degree. You don't follow through on stuff. You're not going to fit in. It's probably not going to be a right fit for you. But if you really want to do it, you can have it.
And knowing you, that did not sit well.
Didn't sit well.
Yeah.
Right. That was my chip. And I said, great, I'll take the job. So I went, got my licenses and got into the sales job and just worked. And my strategy, I remember the first day, Chase, I'm like, I don't belong here. There's all these, they go around. Where'd you go to school? Boston College, I worked at Fidelity as a VP. They get to me and I'm like, I dropped out of college and, I grew up in New Bedford. And And I had a strategy, just like you, right? Chase, everybody's got a strategy. My strategy was I was going to work harder than everybody else.
Right.
So I said, I'm going to be the first one in the morning and the last one to leave at night. Sounds pretty simple.
Yep.
Right? What I didn't realize is that these people were workaholics.
Yeah.
So getting there to be the first one in the morning was 7 in the morning, and leaving at night was 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And I lived an hour away.
Yeah.
And I just did it. And what I learned is that the hard work was more important than your education and your background.
Yeah.
And your personal development was more important. So I was a first-year top achiever, went into management, moved to Maine, moved to Portsmouth, back to Boston to run the Boston office. I ran the number one organization for just about 5 years in a row.
And what exactly were you doing at this point? Like what were you doing inside the organization?
Yeah. Recruiting, training, and developing people.
Okay.
So field coverage, running meetings, teaching class, sales, and recruiting.
Yep.
And that's been I mastered those 3 things.
Yep.
Recruit, train, develop.
Yeah. And you've brought that to your own practice in a big way, which we'll get into that.
In a big way.
I want to backtrack just a little bit. So you mentioned you had a chip on your shoulder at that point. I mean, growing up, were you a sports guy?
No. Yeah.
What was high school like for you? Were you
terrible?
Were you a good student? Anything like that?
No.
No?
None of that.
Did you like school?
No.
Didn't do anything outside of school? Just worked?
Pothead.
Yeah.
I probably don't know if I could say that on there.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
That's the truth.
We've heard way worse.
You heard way worse. You know, I was not. I was a short. Weirdly enough, I'm pretty tall now, as you know. My senior in high school, I was 5'2" going in. Yeah. And then I was 5'10" getting out. Yeah. 17. I went to college, didn't graduate. I'm 6'2" today.
Sprouted.
So I sprouted.
Yeah.
Kind of hung around with the kids in the neighborhood and in the woods type of thing. And never really, never played sports, not really athletic. Today I'm okay. I'm not athletic, but I work out and stuff. Didn't really have any of that drive. Yeah. Wasn't really a motivated kid. I wasn't afraid of work. Yeah. I had a paper route. I cleaned boats. Anything I could do to make a buck was more important. Yeah. Yeah. So you were always driven by just, hey, making a buck and flipping stuff and working, making money. Yeah. That was it. That was what you were driven by at a young age. Any chip on your shoulder at a young age? Anything from back then? I mean, the reason I ask is because 9 to 13 is some of the most influential ages where something happens in those years that really causes people like you, in my opinion, to do something big. So there's nothing back then. Interesting. Yeah. Probably. My brother's 6 years older than me. Yeah. My brother is, was a concert pianist, went to a private, he wanted to go to a private high school. I wanted to go to a public high school. Yeah. Went to URI, went to pharmacy school, straight A student, never did anything wrong. Yeah. And I was always compared to him. Yeah. To a large extent. And, today we're not the same people. Yeah. Right. But I think most of my personal development had to do with a change of scenery and other people having a belief in me. Yeah. So when you get into an environment where you're now competing at a place, that's where my chip came from. Like, give Tom Brady the rock. Yeah. Yeah. He's not going to give it back. Right. Give me the shot. And I had told everybody that I was going to make it. My friends, my family, the people that I worked in previous jobs, all that stuff. I was like, I'm going to be a successful financial advisor. Yeah. I wasn't going to give that rock up. Yeah. So my chip came a little later. Yeah. I feel like, because I had wanted to honor my commitment, what I told people I was going to do. Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like you wanted to prove yourself early on, and that's what drove you ultimately. What pushed it. Yeah. Okay. So you had a lot of success here, leading a lot of people. How many people are you leading at this point? And how old are you? So I went from Maine to Portsmouth. I started a scratch operation in Portsmouth. I built that office to about 25 people. I was then promoted again to come back to Boston. So I kind of. So you're hanging out on the East Coast in your 20s still. Yeah. Correct. So at age 30, 29 or 30, I was given the Boston organization. There's a scorecard. We're 120th out of 144 in the scorecard. Within a year, we go to top 5, and then the next 5 years is basically like number 1. Yeah. And the organization went from about 26 people to my last day was 104.
Wow.
Right. So I thought that was a big deal.
And you hired most of those people?
I had all of them.
All of them. Yep.
Recruited, trained them, developed them. I thought it was a big deal. At 32 years old, I'm making my best year back then was 860.
Yeah.
So, 32.
You made 860 G's at a young age?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my best year. And right after my best year, they fired me. So I got there.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to make $1 million bucks.
You had built this.
I had built this thing.
Yeah.
And,
Before we get to that, I mean, obviously there's a critical, you get fired here, and I'm going to ask you why.
Yeah.
You'll tell me.
Maybe
We'll see.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
But when you're building a team, you're going from 25 to 105, 104. What were the critical layers or the critical pieces of building a team like that? Did you lead everybody, or were there people in the middle of that?
Yeah. So there's a bunch of things, leadership principles that I learned from a mentor of mine named Larry Post, that you can't do it alone. I mean, you just have to build your own team. So you'll see this in a lot of the things about our business today that I think are unique, is that we start to train leadership and leadership path from the recruiting process. So if you're with us, if you go through an interview process with us, you're going to see that we have a fast track to leadership program.
Yep.
It's a very structured AM, DM, tell you what you need to do. And then I really prescribe to eagerness over readiness. So if I see something in you, I want to fan that fire really quick. And I'm not trying to get you to convince me that you want to be a leader. I'm going to see something in you to attract you to become a leader. So I see something special in you, Chase. Here's what I want you to do.
And you identify that quickly. And then you accelerate that growth, it sounds like.
Right. Yep. So when you hire younger people, or really anybody wants to be recognized for their talent, especially early on. So I'll go to them and say, look, dude, I see something that's special in you. What I want you to do for me is I want you to work towards this associate manager job.
Yep.
And here's what I need you to do in the next 6 weeks, because I want to give it to you as soon as possible. Yep. I don't care how long you've been here.
Right.
And that
what's the fastest you've ever promoted somebody from door to managing people?
6 weeks, 7 weeks.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm going through that right now, and it's just is it too soon? Not soon enough.
It's never too soon. It's right. So if you see somebody, fan the flame and then give them a hurdle, because what they'll do is they'll develop quicker. Yeah. Right. I always tell the mini bike story. A kid when I was growing up, he had a dirt bike and he couldn't even put his leg over the damn thing. Yeah. Right. And I'm like, this thing's way too big for you. You can barely ride this thing. Well, going around in the woods, give him 6 weeks and he can tear this thing apart like nobody else, and he can ride twice as good as everybody else. If you give them the responsibility, you tell them what they need to do, they will come up and rise. So I learned very, very early on, it's recruit number one. Yeah. Right. You got to recruit your own talent. You got to have a training system. Like, you're a master at this. Yep. And then probably the equally most important thing is to develop talented leaders, and that's your responsibility as a leader. So you have to identify them early. You have to tell them exactly what they need to do, and then you got to support them to be able to do it. When you say, I really like this. So when you say I got to give them a hurdle, they got to jump over. Yeah. Can you give an example of like how would you give a potential leader, a hurdle to jump over? So I give very simple examples. I'll say to you, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to cover 5 meetings for that person, get 5 new clients, and close 15,000. So something you can quantify. Correct. Essentially, and make them go get it. Yeah. And then there's 2 parts of that. So there's results and behaviors. Yeah. So I call them norms. Norms are a list of behaviors that are baked upon things that piss me off as a human being. Love that. Right? Like Lombardi time is a norm. Yeah. You know what Lombardi time is. It's early. If you're, Lombardi time. Oh, Lombardi. Okay, I got you. Football. Yeah. Football. Yep. Now you're talking my language. Yeah, I'm talking your language, right? Defend the absent. Yeah. Right? Lead from the front. These are behaviors that are defend the absent. Lead from the front. I know that one through and through. What's defend the absent? Defend the absent is you can't allow negativity to run in your culture by allowing people to label somebody else. Guy's a loser. Yeah. There's no such thing as a loser. There's only thing as bad leadership. Yep. Right? Guy guy's weird. No, he's not. You just don't know him. So what I have learned over the years is that whenever I've labeled somebody or prejudice against them, if I've ever spent time with them and learned who they are as people, I don't feel that way. Right? I can find a bond with anybody if I spend time with them and build a relationship. And in leadership, you can't define who people are going to be. The only thing that you can do is to be a good human yourself, right? And then have a standard for behavior that everybody has to adhere to.
Yep.
And then everybody will like each other. So I don't allow people to be like, they're bad or the loser or he's weird. This guy's weird. I'm like, no, that person's perfect, right?
That's really good. Just defending the absent. But whenever somebody's saying that when someone's not there, I get it now. Okay.
100%. Yeah. Not allowed. Not allowed. Yeah. And when they do it, they go, let's go talk to that person because they need to hear that from you. It needs to not happen in a culture.
Yeah. No, that's great. And then, it sounds like you basically explained to me your core values right there in a sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That has synonymous with that, I would think.
It is.
That's awesome. Okay. I love that. I'm going to go back and promote this guy next week. So
promote him early and often.
Yeah. Early and often. And then obviously we'll get into your hiring and development, but if you've heard me say this a couple times, your wife told me when we were at dinner a month ago that you believe that you can develop anybody.
I do.
And can you kind of go into that a little bit? I think that's critical because I think I had a limiting belief where it's like, hey, I've got to hire these super talented people. Those are the only people that can succeed in my model. Those are the only people I can develop. So what are your thoughts on that?
No, I completely
disagree.
I disagree with you.
That's all right.
It's okay. We disagree. Right? There's different ways to do things. And I've hired a lot of people over the years. I've hired people. I'm like, I just hired Chase. I'm so excited about this person. He's going to kill it.
Yeah.
And he's lazy, entitled. Not you, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then I've hired people.
Sounds just like me.
Yeah. Right. The opposite. And then I've hired people. I'm just like, I don't know if this guy's going to make it.
Right.
And then he has the heart of a lion.
Yeah.
He's got the burning desire and doesn't matter.
We start putting our narratives on people.
You can't label people. You never know until you can't go through an interview process with somebody and know how they work.
Yeah.
Right. It's just it's a play. What you got to do is you got to say, is this person committed, qualified, and coachable? Right. And even then, sometimes they're not coachable, but you're like,
how do you identify that though? How do you give me an example of people you wouldn't hire? Like when you're going through an interview process, you have, spoiler alert, over 400 agents today.
600.
Yeah, 600. Holy smokes, more than I thought. Yeah. 600. So, and I know your hiring process is extensive. There's a lot of people that are involved in it.
Yeah.
So you're identifying all these things. You feel like you can develop anybody. At what point do you say, no, you're not what I'm looking for?
Well, so today we're very process oriented, as you know, Jason. We have a set. There's a lot of, in the beginning, we explain to people who we are as a company, our mission, our vision, our values, the growth opportunity, the opportunities in leadership, the compensation package, how we get clients, right? So we put that right up front with people. Once they know that, then we actually say, why you? So when we say no to people, they're like, I'm just not sure I want to work for this type of company. I'm not sure I want that type of compensation package. I'm not sure I want that. And that's a red flag. Now, what I will say is, if I'm interviewing you as a younger person and you say, I'm not sure I want that, and I think you've got it.
Yeah.
Like if I interviewed you and you said, yeah, I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
I would challenge you.
Yeah.
And we teach this. So what I would say is, Chase, look, you're only as good as the team you play for, right? I'm asking you, I'm the Kansas City Chiefs, right? And I'm asking you to play for me, and you're not sure if, in fact, that's the case. Your success is 50% you and 50% the team you play for.
Right.
So I'm going to ask you this question again one more time just to see where your head is at. Do you feel like you want to work for a championship team? And do you want to re-answer that question? So sometimes you're challenging that. But if they say, well, I'm just not sure, I'd be like, I'm done with you. Like, I don't want that.
Yeah. But reframing that sometimes so somebody can understand. And then if they answer no again, then it's obvious, right?
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Remember, your success mostly is who you hang around with in your environment.
Yeah, no doubt.
So you will learn how to, especially younger people, right? They will learn your vernacular. They will learn what success looks like when they surround themselves with others, and they will change as people.
Yep.
you're not the same person you were at 22.
Yeah.
I'm not the same person I was at 22 or 32 or
22, 42. I was sleeping on the couch making 2,000 and doing some things I don't want to talk about on a podcast.
Amen, bro. That, same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
So that I don't think you can label somebody in terms of what they're going to be at 32 and at 22. Do they look at your company because of you and say, I want to be part of that vision.
Yeah.
I want to be part of that mission. I want to be around successful people. I want to play for a successful team.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody looks at themselves and be like, I don't really want to get, people that are like, I don't really feel like getting up early and I don't want to work weekends. That's true. But if I say, do you value success over independence? They're like, I would rather be successful and let me get that chip on my shoulder and go run with it. It's just a belief system.
Yeah. Just helping them understand what they're actually saying half the time.
Yeah. They don't know.
Yeah.
They're just new at this.
Yeah. That makes sense. Those are great nuggets there. So we're back to it now. You got fired.
Yeah.
Okay. You built a team. You got fired. What happened?
Yeah. There was some HR issues in my office. There was a time in the 1999 Enron thing where, behaviors that I grew up with and liked and enjoyed.
Yeah.
Corporate America didn't like, right? So I used to have a beer in the office as an example. So we had Friday night phone clinics. We would work from 5 to 9.
Most people in my industry still do that. Private practices, obviously.
100%.
Yeah.
And we still do it at FFA.
Yeah.
But Ameriprise went through this, thing where this was like weird for them. I'm like, no, it wasn't. That's what we did.
That was part of the
culture and environment,
team building and community and culture and all that.
Right. Yeah. And then I had a senior. I tried to fire the senior vice president's kid because he was a loser. I put him all the way against the ropes. It's my boss's boss, and he says, "You're trying to fire my kid. If you do that, you're fired." I'm like, "Well, he doesn't show up to work. I put him on an action plan. He should be gone. I don't give a fuck." Blah blah.
Yeah.
His crony would go in my office and I would, I'd wheel in cases of beer and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "It's fine, phone clinic. We drink beers." Like, it doesn't, So there was enough of those sort of things where they
differentiating philosophies and opinions.
Right. And I was hard-headed. I was number one in the company. I was the highest paid kid. And they said, "You're not going to do that." And I was like, "What is wrong here?"
Yeah.
And I would push back and they finally decided that they wanted to change the culture. And they took me out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a hard day.
Yeah.
It was a hard day.
Yeah. Looking back, everything's great, right? Everything's best thing that ever happened. But at that time, what was going through your head at that time, or was that a tough time? Did you hit a low there?
It was a pretty tough time. Yeah. And
how old were you then?
32.
Yeah. Because you had invested your kind of heart, blood, sweat, tear, all those things into that, right?
I was all in. I bled blue.
Yeah.
As I used to say. And it's also tough in the securities industry. So they said I was terminated.
Yeah.
For
I kind of blackball you.
Non-securities related issues. Now I'm in leadership. And so how do you explain it?
Right.
What I didn't realize at the time that was such a devastating
termination.
Because if they just said, he brought beer in the office, nobody would care.
But it left people left to their own devices. It was whatever. Yeah.
So it was really difficult for me to get back into the leadership position, and that's what I did. That was what I did.
Yeah.
I finally got back in. I went as a managing partner for New England Financial.
Yep.
I did that for 5 years. I don't know anybody that has a GA contract, a general agency contract, that works for like a mutual company, like a Mass Mutual or a Northwest Mutual. You don't own shit. You just think you do. So they tell you own everything, but they own the contract and they can just pull it. So when MetLife bought him out, they reorged me, terminated my contract after 5 years of building an organization that's 6 people to 60 people. And they just came in one day and said, "Yep, we're going to roll you up, and we're not keeping you in that job because you have too much influence. We want to give the next person the opportunity to take that influence from MetLife." Like, holy shit, that's number 2.
I was going to say, so that's the second time
That's
here.
the second time.
But going back here to the first time, did that send you in a spiral or anything? Did you take some time off? Like, what did?
Not really. Yeah, it's my wife says this about me. She's like, every time you've ever been kicked, it's like you've never stopped working.
Yeah.
You just never stopped moving. I didn't take any time off. I was like, I needed to go build and do.
Yeah.
So I was either looking for a job or trying to build from scratch. Because
so what was your time in between until you went to New England?
Maybe 5 months or 6 months.
Okay.
What I tried to do at that time was I was trying to get funding to go start my own at that point in time. But I had a non-compete.
You're on a RIA or what were you trying to start?
No, at the time it was, I wanted to do a career agency like a Securian. I went to ING, went to Securian. I said, give me $2 million. I'll bring 50 people over.
Yeah.
And I had a whole business plan. I presented to their board. I thought that was off. My apologies.
No worries.
And I thought I was going to get the money, candidly. Yeah. And I told you this, I think, over drinks.
Yeah, we had about 6 bottles of wine.
That's true. It was a little tough. We had this. There was a guy by the name of John Hance. Yeah. He runs the Hance Group. If you ever look up the Hance Group, and I was asking him for money to launch my thing, and the deal didn't work out. And I got to spend time with him, and he's a billionaire. If you look him up, he is the largest distributor PNC. He sold a bank for $250 million. Like, this guy is like, has his own Challenger 650. Yeah. He owns his own race car. Like, this is a legit guy.
Stupid money. Yeah.
And I got to spend some time with him, and there were some learning lessons that I had. I shared this with you, I think, is that one of the learning lessons he said to me that I took to heart is I asked him, I said, well, if you had to do this all over again, what would you do differently? He thought about it for a moment. He goes, Jason, you know what? He said, when I left, he also got fired from American Express. When I left, I gave people stock in the company. And he said, and if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't have done that. They would have come to work with me for the value proposition and my leadership. And not that I regret that, but he said, if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't have given them actual ownership in the company. Yeah. I wouldn't have taken on partners because they have a voice now that's important. He said the second thing is, he didn't say it in this way. He said, you never want to be a minority shareholder in a private company.
I do remember you telling me that.
Right? It doesn't mean anything because now you getting paid is subjective, meaning that you don't have voting rights. They can dilute your shares. Mm-hmm. You may never have a liquidity event. They may never want to do a liquidity event. You may never get paid on doing this. Right. So these were two valuable lessons that, especially when you're starting out your business, right? People are like, I'll come to work for you. Just give me some stock in the company. I'm like,
give me some equity.
Absolutely not.
How many times somebody said, give me some equity?
You get nothing. You give me a check, you can have some equity, right? Or how many times people said, hey, why don't you come here and I'll give you stock of your company? And that thing comes to my mind. It's like, you never want to be the minority shareholder. Yeah. And that has worked out for me, especially having gone through a liquidity.
And you've taken all that advice and lived by it.
I've lived by it. Yeah. No, it's not that I don't give people opportunities for stock. We have phantom stock option plans.
Yeah, you have long-term incentives.
We have LTIAs, but they don't own anything. Yeah. I'm in control.
And that's how we do it too. And I truly want our partners to have liquidity events and lots of opportunities. But in terms of legal equity, that just opens up a whole bag of worms.
Just means they have control and decision-making power. I've learned, be fiercely independent in that. Yeah. So I get fired, number 2 in financial services, right? I go to a company by the name of McAdam. He's a friend of mine. I've known him for years.
And how old are you at this point?
I'm 40 maybe, 41.
Okay, gotcha, yep.
Something like that. I forget how old am I right now. It was a great experience. Yeah. Mike's a great dude. Mike's a real deal business person. Yeah. He's a really, really smart guy. He's got a big business. I'm helping him grow it. There's probably 250 people. And we start fighting with ING about marketing. So they're in the retirement planning space. They have 401k plans. We call on 401k plans. They're trying to tell us we can't call anymore. They're threatening compliance. Guy's got $5 million worth of leases a year. He's got 100 employees. He basically paves the way. And we separate from the IBD, opens his own RIA. I'm part of this process. It was a great learning. Amazing. Because you really need to have you have to own your own firm. The entity is the most important thing that you have in order to really grow and scale a business.
Yeah.
And I learned that. The amount of stress that we went through from having compliance department tell us we can't do things. We get 300 people making phone calls and they're like, we can't do it anymore unless we approve it. Well, they're going, whoa, 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 whoa. You know, it's a very stressful time. I learned a lot. We worked well together. We had a good time. We went through EOS. You've been through EOS?
I have not.
You know what it is?
Yeah.
Entrepreneurial Operating System. Interesting. There's a lot of really great nuggets in EOS. And one of the things is only one person can own one thing, right? So you've got sales, it has to have one person. You have compliance, it's one person. You have recruiting, it's one person. You have finance, it's one person. You can't have everybody involved in everybody's stuff.
Wearing different hats.
Correct. Yep. And I didn't fit, meaning that the job, either I could have applied for the sales job, which I didn't want. I was traveling all around the country, living out of a hotel room.
Yeah.
Right. Didn't want that job. Like, he's like, well, you can do just recruiting. I'm like, so basically I'm going to be the fall guy if the sales leader sucks. Not going to do that job.
Yeah.
Don't want compliance. And I'm just thinking to myself, I don't know what I'm going to do at this point. I just don't want to do this. And my wife and I go out day drinking. And this is what starts, and you know the story. And I'm going to say it on a podcast.
Yeah, please.
You can do whatever you want with it. Right. So we go out and we're drinking. And we're actually back in Chicago last week. And there's a picture of me it's like September of 2016. And you can just see the stress on my face. I'm just like, the pain that I'm going through. And we go drinking, and we end up at this bar called J. Parker. It's a rooftop bar. And we've been drinking, and I'm like loose, and I'm contemplating life, and I'm going, what am I going to do, honey? I got all these dings. I don't know if I'm never going to get the executive job. Maybe I'll go be a wholesaler. And this look comes over her face, and my wife, just like yours, right? Yeah. They're the sweetest, best, loving. They're just the best.
Yep.
And my wife is my ride or die. Even if I made a bad decision, she would support me.
She's got your back.
She's got my back, And I see this look over her face, and I'm like, honey, what's wrong? And she goes, she's like, I love you. And I've got your back and whatever you want to do. Yes. She goes, can I be candid? Yeah. She goes, you're being a fucking pussy. Yeah. My wife doesn't swear.
Yeah. And
my wife doesn't do that. And I just remember the life getting sucked out of my body at that point in time, being like, holy shit. And there's, those times in your life that they're so impactful. Mm-hmm. And that set the course. And I woke up the next morning, hungover. Yeah. And we were out of there.
Yeah.
I had a non-compete. We moved to Florida, put the house up for sale. We decided we're going to go out on our own. And, she went on. She's like, I don't care if we ever get money, or we can bartend, we can move to the Caribbean island. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't need the big house, the car. Yeah. None of that matters. Your happiness matters. You're better than this. And sometimes you need permission, I think, right? Yeah. I think sometimes you really just need somebody that believes in your skill set, gives you the permission to fail. And so we moved to Tampa.
Yeah.
And we started.
How quick was that, though? So, in terms of you made that decision in Chicago, and then when did you get to Tampa?
We went the next week. We bought a house. We moved December 16th.
Wow.
So that was really quick.
Yeah.
I told the guy, hey, I'm out. And I remember him going, is there anything I can do to get you to stay? Is it the money? And I'm like, no, it's not the money. And he wanted me to stay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Right. You put me in a position to make a decision that I've already made, and we're gone.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you and appreciate it.
Well, it was obvious to me the EOS stuff, you didn't fit in any of those roles.
No.
You were the guy at the top. That's where you fit.
I should have been him.
Yeah. Right? That's what I'm saying. Yeah. You should have been the guy overseeing all that. Yeah.
And I wasn't going to be, because it's his company. He started it, and he still runs an amazing company, and I love him to death.
Yeah.
Respect him
But all these different things, you never lost. You just kept learning. You just kept learning, kept learning and growing.
Right.
And then ultimately made this big decision.
Yeah.
Moved down to Tampa.
Yep.
And ride or die. It doesn't really matter what's going to happen at that point. You guys made a decision.
Yeah.
But what happened at that point?
So some of the stuff, I'm going to present at your conference, but I think it's important that when I went into it, I didn't have a practice and I never wanted to be a practitioner.
Yeah.
I never wanted to long-term view myself in a job or a role where I was client-facing, right? Now, the reason that's the case is because most of the people that I know that are my age that have been as financial advisors, what they end up doing is they work as little as possible with the clients that don't challenge them on anything, and they don't grow. It's because, and they candidly don't want to meet with them on a regular basis to talk about their kids and their dogs and about an asset allocation portfolio. Like that gets really old as a human being. I know so many people that have sold their practices just because I don't want to, we call it PMM. I don't want to do a PMM anymore. I don't want to meet the new prospect and be like, this sucks. Right. So I never went into the business with the intent of being a practitioner. All the way to the name, Florida Financial Advisors, as I always said, I'm going to be a financial advisory business. I'm not going to be a wealth management business because that insinuates that I'm going to manage your money.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a platform of financial advisors.
Yep.
Which is just,
plural. Yeah.
Just by the name of it, insinuates something different.
Yeah.
Right?
Insinuates a lot of people involved.
It means, it means other people's businesses, and I was going to help develop them and grow them as a platform. And that was my vision from the beginning. So we start out, my first hire is a recruiter. I paid him $32,000 a year. A lot of it in the beginning is just, elevating who you really are and you're not. So we had a Regis space. I told people that we were waiting for our build out. We were launching this.
It's becoming attractive.
Year. Yeah, it's becoming attractive. And, and then I hired a guy that came down with me from Chicago that I knew, and his job was to do first interviews. So it went like this. It was like, okay, recruiter sets up the interview. I do a career preview, right? He does the first interview. I do the final interview, goes back to the recruiter to do the paperwork, and then wash, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, it's back and forth.
Wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. So the first year we started in March of 2017, went in the hole, probably 60,000.
Which is crazy though, because nobody understands sometimes you have to do that to build something great.
You have to.
Yeah. I mean, I fortunately never went into debt, but that's because I started knocking doors at 25. It's a whole different deal.
You had to practice.
Yeah. I was a practitioner at the end of the day. Whereas, building a true company like that, you have to take some upfront hits. We're growing so fast right now. We're taking some hits. Yeah. There's no doubt.
You have to.
Yeah.
Right. You have to invest in yourself. And I want to talk about the economics. I think that's a really important thing that I don't think most people get completely. So I go in the hole. I also had money saved. So at this point, there's been times in my life, I haven't not really.
You made a lot of money. You could lead up. Yeah.
I made a lot of money leading up. We had sold some real estate, made money, a couple $1 million here and there. So we weren't broke by no means, but I don't want to lose what I saved either at that point in time. So we go in the hole about $60,000. It's we open it March of 2017, September of 2017. The bleeding stops. We go from the red to the black, and I never write another check into the business.
Yeah,
right. You'll see this. So I had 9 advisors. I hired 9 advisors.
First year, 9 advisors.
First year.
Yep.
Right. So it's me and me. So there was 12 of us total. So it's me, Danny, and Hans, with the recruiter. What I realized at that point, I've always been good at developing leaders. So that first 9 people, in my mind, was my future. Mm-hmm. They were all in management.
Are any of those 9 still around?
100%. Yeah.
All of them?
Not of them. No.
Yeah.
So there's 1, 2. I'm trying to think. There's 2 left.
Yep.
One of them's senior vice president. Guy probably make $1 million this year, close to it, right? The other person's a practitioner. He has his own practice. Yep. That's $450,000, $500,000 a year. Does really well. I wish they all stayed, candidly. Right? Yeah. This third one. He runs my Atlanta office. He runs, he'll probably make $550,000, $600,000. He's a stud. He was a loser too. was a frat star.
We don't say that, remember?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We don't call him losers. Well, I tell him he's like one of my best friends.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you tell them to their face, it's different.
When you tell him to their face, and he knows it, and you know who you are, Raps. Like, so we have a great relationship. And, he's one of my favorite people. But I kicked this kid in the face a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Not literally, but.
Yeah, I get it.
But these were the people. So we did quarterly business planning meetings. We wrote the vision and mission together.
Yeah.
They were involved in what we were going to be. They helped
the foundation.
They were the foundation. I spent all my time in developing them. So we would do classes in the morning, classes at night, role play, model week, phone clinics, one-on-ones. We did all the stuff that I used to do.
Yeah.
Year number 2, we net gained 4, I think. So at that time we had 13. I made $400,000. Right. So $400,000 is a decent living. Right.
Yeah.
I'm doing something I love with people.
But you're building an asset too.
I'm building an asset. At that time, I didn't know how much it was worth, to be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I had no idea the valuation in PE, which we can talk about.
Yeah.
And then year number 3, I net gained 34. They made like $1.3 million.
So you had a big leap.
Huge leap. And then we get into COVID, and even during
what
COVID,
was the difference? Or why 400 to 1.4 in a year's time? What was the big catalyst there?
net gain.
Yeah.
You have 34 more bodies. 30.
Yeah. How many people? How many people at that point?
You'll see this in my presentation. I want to say that's 40.
Oh, cool. So you math it out.
I give you
That's
everything.
gonna be super cool.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's what I speak about all the time. Is when I was a practitioner.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I'm so good at what I do. Then I just realized if I could just hire 5 people that were 50% as good as what I do.
Right.
Everything changed.
Well, I'm going to say this, in front of your group. I'm going to say if you could hire somebody, cost you absolutely no money, right?
Yep.
And for every dollar, and you train them, and every dollar they bring in, you make 50%.
Yep.
How many people would you hire?
Yeah, unlimited. Yeah.
You would hire all of them.
Yeah.
Right. So it just doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
Now the question is how do you structure your economics in order to do that, and how do you train them and developing them when they come in the door? And that's where leadership development comes in and training comes in, right? But you have to be recruiting that leadership bench from the minute they walk in the door. They have to have a career path, a vision that you're putting
an
out
ascension
there.
ladder. They got to see that they can ascend throughout the company. Yeah,
That's right. And once that starts to happen, so funny story, one of the biggest challenges we have is we outgrow every piece of real estate ever, right? So
right. You always buy a building that's too small. You always outgrow it.
You always outgrow it. And I never sign long-term deals. I never buy buildings. And the reason being is
you lease everything?
I lease everything.
Yeah, and because you outgrow them?
I outgrow them. And then I'm like, now what, I had bought one, we had outgrown it. I just sold it, right? I made $300,000 on the building.
Yeah.
But it sat empty, for 2 years because I couldn't put anybody in it.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, I get this building I don't want. Who am I going to put there? And I have an office down the street, and it's just kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
So we always sign 2-year deals. We want free furniture to keep things cheap. We want outs in the leases. We end up buying them out most of the time. You do mostly subleases. Almost all of them are subleases because we have not been able to. They can't. We're doing a good job at building them, right?
Yeah.
So then we're in this building, right? So we have an office. It's got 1 bathroom. It's 2,200 square feet. I've got 49 people in it.
How is that humanly possible?
Crazy. Literally, people
just cubicles on cubicles.
Not even cubicles. It's like a bench like this.
Yeah,
it's like you and I, but there's.
It reminds me of the Wolf of Wall Street.
It's literally like the Wolf of Wall Street, right? If you had to take a piss, people have taken piss outside because they couldn't wait for the bathroom.
Oh my God!
The women have to go next door.
Yeah,
it was. People are making phone calls in the parking lot. We're setting up card tables out there. I'm like, holy shit, I don't know what I'm going to do. And the place is humming.
Yeah.
It feels so good.
It had to be so cool to walk in there.
It's like when you walk in there, it's magic. And at that point, that was what I remembered in the old days. And I'm like, this is.
Yeah, it brought you back to those moments.
Never, these ever romanticize the past, everybody. There's nothing more special than that. But I have no room, and I'm in a big lease. This one was a 5-year deal. I was 1.5 years into this thing, and I'm like, am I going to go get another space? And da-da-da-da. So there's a guy, talented kid named Nick. And I said, Nick, you're a VP. I'm sending you to Orlando. I wanted him to be close enough. He wasn't ready, eagerness over readiness, right? I said, I'm gonna put you up in there, and I'm gonna send 5 guys with you. We're gonna go recruit. People want to move to Orlando. They're managers. He's a VP, loves it. He completely falls on his face, right? His first year, he recruits 14 people, loses them all in 2 months. He's got 2 people. What I realized was one of the managers for him, a guy by the name of Tommy, was his problem. So this Tommy is so talented, but can't be a number 2. So I called Tommy up one day and I go, Tommy, you're so talented, dude, but you can't work with this guy.
Yeah.
So I want you to move to Jacksonville. I want you to start your own organization. He goes, absolutely. So fast forward, Nick builds that organization to 27 people. The place kills it. Tommy builds this organization, which he still is with me and is senior vice president today. Yep. They have 75 people. They are like unbelievable. He runs my whole region today.
75 people in his office. Yeah. He's crushing it. Yeah.
Crushes it. They're the most productive, best office. Eagerness over readiness. He was a manager. He had no idea. He's like a young kid. I said, you're going to Jacksonville, and let's go. Yeah. And now he's got the most productive office.
Yeah. And do you feel like there's ever been a point where it's like, hey, I can't develop you?
With people?
Yeah.
Yeah, I fired Nick.
Yeah.
So I used to say to Nick,
and that's your way of saying I can't develop you?
I tried.
Yeah.
I said, you know what, Nick, there's very few people in my life that, we either argue an agreement, you don't follow my norms, and he was a wonderful guy and a good producer. But he just did really stupid things. And I'm like, I'm trying, but you're just not listening and you're not listening. So I ended up moving him back to Tampa, which at that time was the biggest organization. And he gets me in, he hires an intern. He does a bunch of stupid shit. I'm constantly fighting with him about stuff. Right. And I finally said to him, you know what? I just can't he does really stupid stuff. Let's just put it that way. Things that you don't do in that role. Yeah. And I ended up eventually firing him. Yeah. Yeah. And I still talk to him and I love the kid, but I just can't, his values aren't aligned. Yeah. It's more of a values issue than it is his performance. I always say this is a Jack Welch thing. Good performers that have shared values, those are great. Great performers that don't have shared values, you got to get rid of those people. They're just constantly headaches. And the place would do better.
I mean, I look back this year, we've made some key changes and, for lack of better words, fired some people. Yeah. And it elevated everybody else.
100%.
Yeah.
And everybody else, gets opportunity. If somebody loses their job, somebody else takes over. And now we have that culture, we have just a great culture for that.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, when I spoke on your team Zoom call, 400 people on camera, Correct. It's like, that's something special. I've never seen that to where you have that many people disciplined. They show up, they're attentive. There was engagement. I ask questions all the time when I do Zoom calls. It's like I get crickets and I'm like, okay, I can tell this organization has not been led and doesn't really want to be here, doesn't care. I ask a question on yours and I can't find where it stops scrolling because everybody's responding. It was super impressive, but you're building this thing out. Yeah. So, I mean, you're humming at that point. I mean, fast forwarding to the partial acquisition. What year was that?
It was 22. I was 22. It started late 21. The acquisition completed in September 22.
Okay. So just to unpack everything again. Yeah. Went and dug the hole 60,000 when you started this. Correct. When you started FFA. Yeah. And became profitable in did about 1.4 million in profit 3 years later, right? 2 years.
More. Oh, way more. Than that. You'll see it goes like 400, 1.4, 2.6, 4.9, 8.8.
The exponential growth that starts happening. So when you had this partial acquisition, what was your revenue you were doing and what was your multiple? Can you get into that at all?
I can get into the multiple. I can show you, and you'll see this in the presentation. I don't know the exact numbers. Yeah. The multiple was a 10 multiple. Yep. For the 60%, and then I got a 12 on the back. Yep.
But you haven't sold, when you say the back,
I retain 40%. Yeah. I own 40% of the ownership. So if I grew by 20% a year, I get a 12 multiple on the next turn.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And Do you anticipate yourself exiting the back half at some point?
Yeah, I do. No, I shouldn't say that. So what I want today, which is I believe will come true, is I want to take half of my chips off the table. So
Half of the 40.
Half of the 40. Yeah. So I want to take 20% off the table, and I believe that will. My hope is that that'll happen this year.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, they pay me an absurd amount of money to do what I do.
Yeah.
Right. I would do it for free at this point. It makes no sense, and I already know. I can tell you almost to the dollar how much money we'll make next year.
Yeah. Already
because of our net increase in sales power. We're going to net gain 280 people this year.
Yeah. How many people do you have right now? You said 600?
Yeah, about 6 and change.
And you'll be north of 800, maybe 900 next year?
Yeah. We'll, so this year we'll finish just right around 600.
Yeah.
Our goal next year is to net gain 440.
Yeah.
So next year we'd like to be above 1,000.
Can you share your estimated revenue for this year or not?
Yeah, I guess I could do that.
Yeah.
Is this going to be on the podcast?
Well, you can. Yeah, we can edit it out. We can do anything.
If you could edit that out, but yeah, we'll do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, starting from 60 grand to the hole. Yeah. Just bleep that out. We won't tell them.
Yeah, we won't tell them.
Bleep. Yeah, like that.
Yeah,
that's incredible. So I mean, you've done all these cool things. One thing I assume you got some real estate. What else are you involved in besides?
I started a restaurant. I'm building a restaurant right now. My wife was into, when we first started, we're making $300-400 grand a year. We're like, well, let's do some real estate flipping. Yeah. We did a bunch of that. You make $100 grand. I used to think that was a ton of money. I'd be like, I made $100 grand,
right.
And she would be like, I used to work a year and make $100 grand. And, today we still do real estate development. We used to do the flips, we would buy a house, either foreclosed or what have you, and then fix it up and then sell it. It's so funny today because I think I'm going to have this conversation with your people. I'm going to say, what's a day worth repeating for the rest of your life? And going to pick out tile is not in there for me anymore.
Yeah.
Or Home Depot runs.
Right.
Or, swinging a hammer or cleaning shit up. I don't want to do any of that anymore. I want to enjoy my life. So we own a bunch of real estate.
Still do? Yeah.
Tons.
Yeah. Commercial, everything?
Mostly residential. Yeah. We just
single family, multifamily?
No multi. I don't want to be a landlord. I realize that.
How many units do you have then?
We probably own 14 properties. It's probably close to $50 million worth of real estate at this point.
Yeah. When I was young, I bought a lot of duplexes and triplexes and fourplexes. Anything under 4 units I could buy.
Yeah.
And I was the guy going to Home Depot, picking out tile.
Yeah, sucks, huh?
Yeah, but I quickly learned that, hired property managers and still have all that real estate, but it gives me hives like when I was in there painting the walls. Oh. It's like I was trying to save $50 an hour.
Not worth it.
Yeah, and it's just crazy. But at the time, it probably was worth it. So it's crazy looking back and looking at your story of just things that have changed.
Yeah, I don't doubt anybody for real estate. My wife taught me this a long time ago, stay in your lane.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I think of all the time.
Yeah.
That's where I experienced most growth is when I stopped buying real estate 3 or 4 years ago. I stopped doing side gigs. I stopped day trading, doing all this dumb shit. Yeah. And I just started building my insurance agency.
Amen.
And that's when we started blowing up as we got super focused on what we were doing.
And then if you put all your energy, that goes into what makes you the most amount of money.
Yeah.
Makes you the most satisfaction.
But so you had a nice big exit, partial exit at one point. But I've graciously been to your home. I've seen the way you live your life. I feel like there's got to be other things you did to amass your wealth and invest right now. Is there anything else, tips or anything you can, of how you disperse that money?
This is going to sound crazy. I am very conservative when it comes to the money that I have.
Yeah.
And the way I kind of explain this to people is that for me to have a 20% rate of return on my money isn't going to change my life in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
For me to lose 30%, it would bother me.
Yeah.
So,
that's how I sell annuities.
That's literally, that's how, and I believe in that. That's why I believe in that stuff. And I think most people in general, do you know this Tiger 21 thing? Do you know what that is? Tiger 21 is a very exclusive club of people that have a minimum of $50 million net worth.
That's why I don't know what it is.
It's a very, and what they do is they do deal flow.
Yep.
Basically. They do other things.
There's always opportunities flowing through there. Yeah.
Always opportunities flowing through there. And they're lobbying me to come. They really want me to come join this club because I have a finance background or whatever. And I keep telling them, I'm like, well, I'm not probably the person that you think. You're
not the guy that wants to be in these risky deals, and I
don't want to be in a risky deal. I want to do deals that I have control over.
Yeah.
Because we're good operators, and you're a good operator. You know that, right? So if you know how to run and manage a business, then I just want to do more of those myself.
Well, part of it too, you amass this wealth. Part of it's holding on to it now.
That's all I want to do. I'm just going to keep it.
Yeah.
That's all. I just want to keep it.
Snuggle with it.
I want to snuggle with it. I want to spend it actually. But it's at a certain point, I'm never going to spend it. I'm going to figure out what to do with it and how I'm going to leave it and pass it. Most important for me is the people in the business right now that have helped grow it and are part of it and have their legacy and their future and their career. That's the most important thing for me.
Yeah. Your legacy will be how many legacies you leave behind.
Correct.
To other people, which would be super cool.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. And I have to share this story. So, I just talk about it all the time. Opportunity is everywhere.
Yeah.
So we're in Costa Rica.
Yeah. Wild.
We're at Silac dinner. And if I'm being brutally honest, I did not want to go to that dinner that night.
Neither. I'm
sure you didn't either. No. It was about an hour and 15-minute drive. It was pouring down rain.
It sucked.
A lot of winding turns. Everything about the journey there sucked.
Yes.
And we get off the bus last. Jason and his wife are sitting there. I've never met Jason before. And it's only 2 seats left. So ready or not, we're sitting next to you guys.
Right next to each other.
And you're probably thinking the same thing. Who is this joker? I'm thinking, who is this joker? And then, quickly we get to know each other, exchange pleasantries, and we find out, hey, for the next hour and a half, we're going to be into the discussion.
Yeah.
And just so thankful for that moment. But my point with all that is that was just an opportunity. And me personally, I had to take advantage of it. I feel like you've given me so much value. I try to give you some back.
I've learned a ton from you. So
and I appreciate that. But I just can't say enough. Opportunity is literally everywhere if you're looking for it. And from that, you graciously invite us down to your home. I've got to spend time with your wife and see how you live, and it's been awesome. So I got a couple more questions for you.
Yeah, go right ahead.
The fire round, a little more personal questions.
Yeah, do it up.
What are you most proud of?
Yeah, building this business is I'm most proud of it. I don't. It's really cool for me. My mission, personal and the company, and to take people to the highest possible level in their career and life. That's been my mantra for over 20 years. And it's really cool to watch the people, the guy Raps, who was a frat star. And I was like, don't you ever say that again. And if I ever see you smoking pot in the parking lot ever again, you're fired. You're an idiot. Grow the fuck up. And to watch the man he's become, to me, there's all the satisfaction in the world, to have placed a vision of a company and told everybody that this is what's going to happen, and then for it to take place and happen and them being part of it, and we'll carry the legacy on is just, I can't be more proud of that.
Yeah, that reminds me of my sales director. He took a chance on me when we didn't really have anything 5 or 6 years ago. Last month, I was speaking at his wedding, and he's now a huge part of our company, our largest shareholder, phantom shareholder. So that's been cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah. What about mentors? Any specific mentors that you can think of in your life?
I have a lot of mentors.
Yeah.
I still try to surround myself with people that are good business coaches. But the gentleman that taught me the lifeblood of any organization is recruiting.
Yeah.
He was the guy that was my boss in Boston. He's a legend.
Yeah.
The guy, this guy worth $100 million plus. Built a real estate empire, hired 3 of the 4 senior vice presidents of Ameriprise. He's just a genius. Larry Post is his name. He's a mentor of mine. I still call him up. As a young kid, pretty stubborn and stupid and full of myself, right? And when I did stupid things, he took the time to help me understand why I was stupid.
Yeah.
And I respected
rather than
him
just
enough.
Call you stupid.
Just instead of being stupid, he'd be like, let's go for a walk. And he would explain to me, painfully at times, how to think and how to react.
We all need that. Somebody just tells us straight.
just tell me,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
but you could, sometimes people want to tell you straight. You're like, I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear it. You got to
be receptive to it.
You got to be receptive to it. And you got to take coaching. You are a sports guy, so coaching is something I've recognized in people like yourself that are talented people that grow up in sports. They're used to taking feedback.
Yeah,
and
we crave it.
You crave it.
Yeah.
As not that person, it doesn't come across as being craved until you recognize what it's for. It's a gift. Feedback's a gift, right? And you need it to be able to be successful. And you have to listen, because people stop giving it to you. You're in a really bad spot, as you know.
That's what we said in coaching. If I'm not coaching anymore, it means I've given up on you.
That's exactly right. It means you're not receptive. Yeah. It's a waste of all
You're not worth
time.
coaching.
You're not worth coaching.
Yeah.
There's a gentleman by the name of Doug Lennox. You can look him up. He owns a company called Think to Perform. He was the president of American Express Financial Advisors, IDS.
Yep.
He's a modern day Aristotle. Guy's an amazing human being. 73. He speaks on my class once. He was on today.
Today was your big call.
Yeah. We had 600 people. He was just incredible today. He's incredible all the time. I just think he's an amazing human being. And then one of people that took over as president is a guy by the name of Ray Kelly. And Ray has just been a good coach and a good human being to me. And when I need stuff, he also coaches other people for me. So those are just a few. I mean, I have lots. Yeah. There's a lot of people who I can look backwards. Even people that have, they were bad leaders. Yeah. I learned a lot from them.
Yeah.
As long as you're open to them.
I mean, you can definitely learn from bad leaders too.
100%,
I always tell the story about the worst year of my life in coaching was from a bad head coach, which is your boss at the end of the day. Yeah. And I learned a lot about what not to do from 100% him too. I mean, so I think you need those more than anything. Yeah. One of my favorite questions, what keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night? Everything keeps me up at night. I don't know. How old are you?
36.
36.
Yeah.
I used to sleep like a baby when I was your age.
I got too many babies keeping me up, so I'm on the opposite end. Yeah.
You know what it is? I don't know what keeps me up at night. What keeps me up at night? I have this weird. I don't let things go, man.
Yeah.
So if there's my boss used to say this, Jason, if you're the type of person, if there's two people fighting and it has nothing to do with you, you feel like it's like your duty to go be in the middle of this fight and break it up or do something. He said, you should just leave stuff alone and choose the fights that are worth fighting. And that's a weakness and a struggle that I have. What keeps me up is stupid stuff like AmeriLife's culture keeps me up.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
And I feel like I want to fix it.
But where does that come from?
It always starts at the top.
Yeah.
Which part? Where does my fight come from?
Yeah. Where does your want to think about these things that you can't control as much? Or
well, I want to be able to control them.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of this has to do with when I feel like I can help somebody, I feel like it's my duty.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from the religious upbringing.
Yeah.
So it becomes from an you do to others as you would have done to you, right?
Yeah.
In terms of Pareto principle. But my dad was different like that. He said, do to others and expect nothing in return, right? And that's, to me, is when something's broken or principally wrong, I can't let it go, right? It just is that fight in me that just continues to push forward.
Yeah.
I should leave it alone, but I don't. That's what keeps me up at night. I find myself getting up in the night and starting to work on stuff that just gets in my mind and I just can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll wake up and just go to work and you're done. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't work that hard. So I may not work all day.
Yeah.
But come in the middle of the night, if I get something in my mind, I just have to go do it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably have.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, there's been plenty of events of that. Yeah.
Get wired.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I'm also got my human alarm clocks with my kids. So
well, they wake you up too. I would imagine.
And then, I mean, if you just were to kind of zoom out 10, 20 years from now, I mean, what is that day that you want to live every day? Well, that's the question I want to ask you. What is that day you want to live over and over again?
I live it right now.
Yeah.
It's a very simple, it's simple. It's a simple life, very powerful and impactful for me.
Yeah.
Right? I get up, I love walking the dogs. So I get up in the morning and I walk my dogs. I live on the beach.
Yeah. that was spoiling me for a few days. That was awesome.
Every morning I get up and the birds are chirping and my dogs are happy and the waves are crashing. I'm just going, holy shit, this is just amazing.
Yeah.
And I get in and my wife, we sit outside, we drink a cup of coffee. I play the guitar, try to sing.
We didn't get to talk about the guitar. I forgot. Yeah, you play some guitar. You're in the right place. You might be able to just pick up a guitar around here and start playing somewhere.
Maybe I'll do that.
That's what you're going to do tomorrow during your presentation on Fridays. Play the guitar.
So I play the guitar. I like to work. So I usually work about 2 to 3 hours, and I like to do it in the morning.
Yeah.
So like 8:15 to 11. But after that, I want to work out for an hour and a half. I want to go play 18.
Yep.
I want to meet back up with my wife.
That's a day I'd like to live over and over again right there. Yeah.
Go out for dinner, share a bottle of wine, watch some Netflix, repeat.
Yeah.
And to me, that is the day. That's the day I want to live. I have to live over and over and over and over again.
Yep.
That's the day I want to live. And, there's a lot of things that are not in there. I don't want to cut the grass. I don't want to do laundry. I don't want to make the bed. I don't want to clean anything. I don't want to.
Well, good thing your house is mostly sand.
It's mostly right, exactly. But there's just a lot of stuff, and if I said, what's a perfect week? Maybe that's dinner with friends or shopping. If it's a perfect quarter, it's a trip. If it's a perfect 6 months, it's a friend's trip.
Yep.
And then it's experiences, right? Yeah. So I want to go to concerts and I want to go to the Ryder Cup. And we went to, we just we're like, oh, this will be cool. We have a list.
Yeah.
It's got 60 experiences and places. And
knocking them out.
We're just crossing them off the list, and then when we hear another one, we put it on the list and we cross them off.
Yeah.
What's the, I'm going to ask this, what stuff do you want? So for us, we have the house and the cottage.
Yeah. Right? I know you want a plane.
So I want a plane, but I fly private.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if I justify actually owning a plane.
Yeah.
Because we fly private, but we're going to buy a winery, ski house. I want a house in Manhattan, like a condo.
Yep.
It's stuff. It's just stuff. It doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Right. But why not?
Yeah.
And, and then I want to live that life every day.
Yep.
For the rest of my life. It makes me happy.
Well, I'll tell you what, every time I get around you, I start thinking bigger. I start doing bigger. I always take action from every time we meet.
Great.
And we're sitting here and I'm just thinking of things I can do right away. So I just appreciate.
If I could give you the other side, I'm here today. I told you this is way out of my comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So this is not something, but I watch what you're doing and I say to myself, even though it's out of my comfort zone, that's probably why I should do it.
Yep.
And I thank you for that.
Likewise. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
That makes there's something that you're doing very special for a lot of people, and I'm very impressed by it.
Thank you.
It's great stuff.
Yeah. There's definitely, I believe, God-given that we met, and I appreciate you, brother. So thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
For coming out today.
Yes,
another legend in the podcast studio. Thank you, Jason Mickool.